Proclamation of the Newington Town Council. Whereas we take pride and pleasure in joining family members and friends, along with members of the community, in congratulating Master Police Officer Eric Petlick on his deserved retirement after 18 years of service with the Newington Police Department. And whereas MPO Petlick was appointed as patrol officer in the Newington Police Department on August 13th, 2007. During his service, he has served as a canine officer, demonstrating his exceptional skills and commitment to the Newington Police Department. And whereas MPO Petlick was first appointed to the emergency response team in 2008 and was reappointed in 2016 and 2022. During that time, he received a letter of recognition from the South Windsor Police Department for his critical assistance in a notable kidnapping case, exemplifying his bravery and dedication to preserving surrounding communities under extraordinary situations. And whereas MPO Petlick was awarded the Life-Saving Award on 3 separate occasions in 2015, 2017, and 2019. And whereas MPO Petlick was promoted to Master Police Officer in 2022. And whereas MPO Petlick has consistently gone above and beyond the call of duty, demonstrating his commitment to the Newington Police Department and the entire community. His achievements and ethics reflect someone of the highest moral character, and he has made a lasting impact on all who have had the pleasure of working with him. And whereas, effective April 1st, 2026, MPO Petlick will embark on a well-earned retirement, and we express our deepest gratitude for his years of service and wish him happiness, health, and fulfillment in the years ahead. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby recognizes and extends its sincere appreciation to Master Police Officer Eric Petlick for his professional service and dedication to the town and wishes him the best in his retirement. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 24th day of March, 2026. Congratulations. We have a motion. Second by Councilor Gonzalez. Any discussion from council? Councilor Bedrejko.
Okay, Officer Petlick, congratulations. It's very clear that you've worn your uniform and your badge with honor over these 18 years. And you made an impact even beyond the boundaries of Newington, as evidenced by your recognition by South Windsor for your activities and also with the emergency response team. You should be really proud of the work you've done and the differences you've made. And I want to thank you for your service because it's a very demanding and a very stressful job and sometimes not appreciated the way it should be. In my humble opinion, God blessed you when you wore the badge, and I'm just hoping that he will continue to bless you in your retirement. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Officer Petlick, I want to thank you sincerely for your service to our community. You know, it's beautiful tonight to go through the list of recognitions that you've received in your time of service. But we know, you know, that those recognitions, those awards were never the reason for the service. And we know that while this is a really joyful occasion and you're going to embark on a joyful, wonderful, healthy, happy retirement, well-deserved retirement, that in all those years of service, there have been sacrifices borne by you, borne by your family. It is not always, and perhaps not often, been rainbows and unicorns in the time that you've served. And so we appreciate sincerely your willingness to answer the call to service. And you know, we cannot thank you enough for the dedication that you provided to this department, to this community, and you know, to provide the stability that we all require so that we know that we live in a safe, comfortable community. You've provided that to all of us. So we cannot thank you enough for your service. God bless you on a wonderful retirement. And please know we're always here to support you anytime you might need us.
Councilor Chiniakis.
I wanted to say thank you. Unfortunately, I never met you, so I don't have a thick relationship with you, but I guess it's not a bad thing that I don't run into you guys too often, right? So From your achievements that were spoken, it sounds like you've made a tremendous positive impact in a lot of people's lives. So just thank you for everything you've done for our community. It's much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Thank you so much for your service and thank you for being in Newington. You work with an amazing police department. Thank you so much.
Deputy Mayor Rada.
Yes, I'll just echo, excuse me, what everyone else has said. Congratulations. Thank you for your years of service to the badge, to the Newington Police Department, to our town and all of the residents and the businesses that are here in town, and wish you well in your retirement. And I hope that you have some great plans ahead of you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor. Councilor Nieves.
Thank you as well. I personally and my family have had several individuals that have been with the police department and in law enforcement, and I do know how tough it is. And thank you as well for your service to this town and your distinguished the awards. You actually have just contributed in ways that many of us will never, have that sense. But thank you for putting your life on the line as well as an officer, and enjoy your retirement.
Officer Pellick, thank you sincerely for your years of service to this community. But I also want to echo what Councilor Poor said. I want to thank your family too for loaning him to help keep us safe for all these years. It's clear that all that's said in this proclamation is true because we have a packed house full of your peers. And to me, the way your peers are clearly respecting of you and clearly appreciate you and probably going to be sad to see you go is a testament to the type of officer that you've been and the type of member of our community. So I couldn't say thank you enough for all your years of service. Please enjoy your retirement. Go on a trip, go somewhere fun, fish, do whatever you like, go some fun stuff. So we really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. You have a motion on the table and a second. Any further discussion on this? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Come on up.
This is what, yeah, it's not.
Thank you very much. Yep, absolutely.
Would you like to say
Would you
anything?
like to step up and have any saying words, please?
The worst part,
Yeah, I'll open it for you. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Not sure that speaker works, but I'm pretty sure everything can hear me back. Good evening to everybody. I'm truly honored to retire after 24 years of police service, and including 8 years with the Newington Police Department. It has been a privilege to serve this town and its residents, and I'm grateful to have served alongside the police department. To the men and women of this department, thank you for your support, your dedication, and friendships I will always carry with me. To my family and friends, especially to my wife, thank you for your love and support through the years. And to my fellow officers, take care of each other, stay safe. Thank you very much for everything.
At this time, we'd open up the floor to anyone in the room that would like to come up and speak about the retirement. Feel free to come up to the microphone. But come on up, chief.
This is an easy one. I probably sit that way. So we've had Eric with us for 18 years. I've worked with him the entirety of my career when he came on. He served many roles with the police department, not all made on that list. One of the most important things he does is he's a defensive tactics instructor. So he teaches our officers how to use the appropriate amount of force when needed, or to not use force if it's not warranted, which in today's society, we know how extremely important that is. And he's always gone above and beyond in those training sessions, takes it seriously, and he makes sure that that knowledge is imparted on our officers to make us all better when we're out there serving the town of Newington. He did do 3 stretches on the SWAT team. He went on, the way our careers work is you get assignments, things happen, you come on the team, you come off the team. But he was asked to come on 3 different times. And I think the last time he didn't want to come back on, but he did because the team needed him. And that just kind of goes to show what Eric's whole career with us has been like. If you ask him to do something, he is going to do it, and he's going to do it to the best of his ability. It'll be a hit for Officer Petlick to leave the Newington Police Department. He has, fortunately for us, laid the groundwork for the program to be successful. He was our K9 for a while. He was our ERT guy, defensive tactics. So he has kind of laid the groundwork for those positions to continue to succeed after he leaves. So for all that, we appreciate you. We love that kid. We wish him nothing but the best. I hear his son might be interested in law enforcement, so we might see another Petlick run through. Hopefully I'll be back in this room one day with him. But yes, every accolade that's on that paper, he well deserved, and he's made us a better department for the 18 years he's been here.
Anybody else would like to come on up? Feel free. All right. Well, thank you again so much. Go celebrate, enjoy, have a good time. You don't have to stay unless you want to stay for a housing presentation.
We won't blame you.
Thank you guys so much. Congratulations. Safe. All right, Paul. Next, so we have a overview of the requirements of Public Act 25-1, formerly HB 8002. Paul Dixon, our town planner, is here to explain the housing bill.
Will be a small portion of the housing bill. So let me get that up and going. Back to follow.
Yeah, it's all back to follow, Paul. You're sandwiched in between.
But that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, some stuff.
Okay, so. Do you have it up there, Scott?
We have it on the screen.
Do you have it on screen?
Yeah.
That's a tiny little one up there.
There you go.
There we go. All right, so thank you very much for having me here tonight. This is really the first introduction. I know the housing plan, the special session at Public Act 25-1 has been discussed by the community, but it really hasn't been kind of brought forward to the council yet. And this is just the first section of that. There are the multiple parts of this act. Kind of put it out there, the act is 107 pages long. It contains 53 sections. So this is not something, you know, if I were to here to go through this entire act, I would take up this meeting, the next meeting, and I think everyone would be asleep by the end of it. So what we're really going to focus on is what actually I'd like to kind of point out to is the Connecticut Council of Governments put out a summary. I have the link there for you. It's in the packets which are PDF. People online can click this link and go right to this summary. It's an 83-page summary of the 107-page bill, but it does go through and really tell you what each section is about without you having to go through the legalese and the statutory language to kind of understand it. So that's what I'd highly recommend. Again, tonight I'm going to be focusing more on the housing growth plan aspect of it. So that's section 4, 6, and 7 of the plan. In the future, if you have questions on other sections, there are many. For example, tomorrow night, I'll be discussing sections 16 through 19 at the Town Plan and Zoning Commission, because those are regulatory sections. Those are ones that have specific zoning regulation changes, which will be required to be effective by July 1st. So we'll be busy working on that. But the housing growth plan, again, 4 to 6 and 7, defines it and tells you what the responsibilities and what the housing growth plan is. So the due date for this plan, just for everyone following along, is June 1st, 2028. So there is some time. This is gonna be a large process, a long process as we go through. And I'll kind of lay it out for you, kind of those interim steps we're in right now and where we're gonna go. So there'll be two pathways. Either the municipality, we will have to do our own housing growth plan, or we'll go along with a regional council government. That decision doesn't have to be made until June of 2027. So that's something to consider as well. We're a year out from even making that decision. So not gonna go into every part of this. This is a very large flow chart, but this is from our partners at CROG, which is a great, kind of lays out all these different sections. Feel free to review it and go through. But what I'm really gonna focus on is kind of where we are right now, the first steps. So OPM has prepared the housing growth plan guidance. It's kind of light to start with, but from there, that's what has been done first. In July, they're actually gonna give us guidance on the developable land inventory, tools for it, and to better understand it. In December of 2026 is when they are going to provide the growth goals to each council of government. And then from there until June, December until June, we will be working with our COG to figure out what that will mean for Newington. So the COG will then divide that up, each piece of the pie, to each individual municipality. So the preliminary housing growth plan guidelines have been issued. I kind of want to put this out there for everyone that written comments are accepted through April 30th. So it is out there, the webpage. It's right at the top. Again, people who are going through the agenda, going through the packet should be able to find that. Kind of highlighted where it is with that red square so you can find it. Those are that, we can submit feedback. I'm going to go through a couple different elements of it tonight. Primarily the policies, the parcel and zone identification, the developable land inventory, and the infrastructure needs. So without going to the housing growth policies, this is laid out in the actual act. And again, this is the guidance document from OPM that if we go with the regional, this will be part of a regional plan. It is not part of an individual plan. However, you will still have to have these policies if you do go it alone. If we go without going to a regional plan, if we do our own municipal plan, we're still at the end of the day going to have the same type of housing growth policies. It's just a matter of where they come into the process. That's as far as I'm seeing in this guidance is it's either they come in when we work with CROG and have that all laid out, or we adopt a plan and then we have to come up with them afterwards anyway. So what they are of those policies is really who is responsible, the municipality or the regional council of governments. And it's kind of what we can do, either policies or actions. Some of these policies have already been kind of worked on in the town. Now this is zoning regulation amendments, fee waivers, tax fixing agreements, abatements, and expedited housing development project approval process. That's an interesting one, being as part of the development process, an expedited one. Typically our processes are kind of straightforward. It's either what they're looking for is not by special permit when they say expedited. They're looking at something that's summary review. If you're more interested in summary review, that'll be my presentation at the Town Plan and Zoning Commission tomorrow. And then the other actions are seeking funding to work with that development, donating municipal land, or entering into agreements with developers that include affordable housing units. Again, these are policies. This is not saying, this is an exact commitment. The town will do this on this specific parcel. It's just the general policies of your town that'll be part of this plan that said this is what we will look to do when developers come in. So the parcel and zone identification, this will be after a inventory is done, and that'll be another section I'll talk about after this. They fall kind of different from each other. But once the allocation is kind of made per town, you really need to go through and look at what areas it could go into. So this is areas where the housing goal could be met through summary review. Again, I'll give the overall summary review. It's not a discretionary review. It's a review that would pretty much be site plan review if it meets the four corners of the regulations and if it does not cause a health and safety issue. That's always hard to define, and we'll help get definitions of that as we work on the zoning regulations. And again, we'll also be looking at regulatory infrastructure and infrastructure itself that is a potential impediment to development. So we are, we're pretty well sewered and have a municipal water throughout the town. So it's not a big constraint that we have, but I think there should be questions about, if MDC's system has either certain capacity issues in certain areas, that would be good to know, especially as we work with CROG and have the discussions with them to say what areas of the town either is these areas that would need upgrades to handle more housing, and how would that be handled through the process? Again, this parcel and zone identification is the process we would use to identify those issues. The developable land inventory right now, it's kind of a moving target as when it's going to be done, how it's going to be done. We're working with CROG and discussions with them in regarding, is this ideally before the allocations are made so it can be understood what the carrying capacity of each town is, what the constraints are, what land is not available. So again, from the guidance document we'll provide more guidance later in 2026. So we have to go back and look, and I don't want to read all of this. It's a lot up there. Again, it's for informational purposes as a packet. But developable land, it's any land, period, including the owned by a municipality. So it's all land, period. But it does not include those committed to a public use, open space, parks and recreation dedicated to the public, or conservation easement. Land that's subject to an enforceable restriction on prohibition of development. And, that could be, for example, I believe like Eddie Farm, where the development rights have been purchased and it's not a zoning requirement that says that you can't build there. It's the specific agreement that is outside of zoning. So that would be an area that we'd say, nope, there is a restriction on that land. You cannot develop on that land. And then we would identify that as part of the land use inventory as, nope, that can't be developed on. Wetlands and water courses, of course, would be pulled out of it because you wouldn't be wanting to, put a development into a wetland and you would want to preserve those. And again, areas of half acre or more of contiguous land unsuitable for development due to topographic features such as steep slope. This is something we'll probably look for a little more guidance on. Typically steep slope is 15% or more, but unsuitable for development, we're going to need a little help on that definition or guidance on what OPM is going to accept. So the infrastructure needs, as I kind of noted, this is part of that potential area that could be identified, either zones or areas identified for potential development. This is an area, the interesting thing, again, this includes most of the normal ones on guidance that we used to, but it also includes multimodal transportation systems. This is something we've seen in development in town where we have it, potential projects going in areas that are residential, but they don't have sidewalks, they don't have infrastructure. So that's something that, again, does need to be identified in these plans, that if any area is planned to be residential or said available for residential, what is there? Is it safe to walk? Can people get in and out of it? Are we creating an island of only residential area where it's nothing but cars around it and it's really not a great place to live? So that's something we need to think about when we create these plans, and we'll be working, initially with CROG, and then the town will have to make the decision of continuing with CROG or doing your own plan. So kind of those touch points again, kind of to hit it home, that December 1st, 2026 is when the state determines the goals. So we will not know the goals even for the region, for our COG, until December 1st. Then by June 1st, each COG will work with its municipalities to establish it. So between December of this year and June of next year, I see a lot of work together with CROG in figuring out how they're going about these numbers and being at the table. This is going to be very important for the town to be there at the table during every meeting that we can possibly get to, say, how are these numbers being determined, to make sure that all these aspects of what is already conserved in Newington, what are infrastructure needs, what are the real limitations are truly understood, that when a plan comes forward, it's grounded in reality. And then within 30 days of when we get those numbers from CROG, then the municipality, you all have to make that decision. Do you create your own plan, or do you go with the Capital Regions Council Governance Plan and work together with them and do that? There's a big difference in, of course, funding. There's a big difference in process. If you go with CROG on that, CROG is doing the plan. They're doing that, we're working with them, but they're using their resources to create the plan. If we go alone, we would have to create the entirety of the plan by ourselves. There's currently no plan for assistance. Again, if you do not go with the regional plan and you choose your own, it'll be a full blown process. Likely need consultant, likely need a process, and would need a budget item for that in the future. So again, it's not due to the timing, we're looking at June 1st of 2027. So we're not into next year's budget to really talk about it. So not right now. Again, it's something to consider. So I'll put that on the table. It's not right now. But it will be something to consider when you go into next year's, again, it'll be December of the time you're kind of when staff puts in our budgets, but kind of in June, you won't know until that time. So the budget will likely be already adopted by the time you know what the actual numbers are. So again, that's why it's important to be at the table and understand where the cog is going with the numbers and the allocation. So again, what's next? Oh, and I'll actually, sorry to go back that the anticipated date, and this is from, again, this is from the guidance documents, is they're anticipated by September 2027 on whether they actually approve the numbers. So that's the key thing. CROG will create these numbers, but they have to submit them to OPM and they have to be approved by OPM. So the same thing would happen with the town. If we choose to go our own directions, we would have to submit our numbers to CROG, and then CROG would have to basically submit them to OPM. So it's no matter which way we go, that process of approval is still going to be at that higher level. You can't just pick whatever number you choose. It will need to be approved as part of the process. So what's next? So this is what we're working on, of course, is reviewing our current zones and our deed restrictions of town land for vacant land use inventory. So this is our open space zone, making sure that we have all the proper parcels identified. This is looking at conservation easements that the town has done through multiple developments. Example, the Rockhole subdivision has a larger conservation easement on the backside of it. There was a conservation easement across the road on another parcel that we were looking on. So making sure these are all properly identified. So when the developable land inventory, we have them identified. So it's not being counted that, oh, you have this many square footage of land available. Well, actually that's wetlands, that's locked up, that can't be developed on. So that's very important. And then the other one is, this is kind of a part of the council is already kind of looking at it as an item, is to review the housing committees we already have and who could be responsible for this process. Who are you want to put forward as either the council yourselves, or would you be looking for a committee to work on this process as we're going through with CROG and the plan itself? So that's something for, I think, the council to think about as well. And July 2026 coming up soon enough. We'll get guidance from OPM on the developable land inventory. And I'm sure I'll be right back in front of you talking about that and talking with the TPT as well. And again, December 2026 is when at least we'll know regionally what the targets are for the area. So that's what I have for you tonight as kind of an informational update. And do you have any questions?
No, Paul, you did bring up next year's budget already. Can we get through it first? Like,
But it's kind of just saying, don't worry about it right now, but it is a.
open up for council questions. Councilor Tiniakis.
I feel like it's like super early to have answers for like specific questions. But I guess I'll just kind of gauge. We don't have like a lot of open space already in town. So are you anticipating that like whatever goals they set, do you think that we're gonna have to like really work to meet those goals? Or do you think we're in a good position to be, close to it like right off the bat?
Yeah, it's pretty early. I think the issue is gonna be, of course, which numbers they use, and it's probably unlikely that they'll be using the last actual decennial census. It'll most likely be, the 5-year survey or something more close that we're looking at. So depending on what development, again, there's many already under development right now. So whether those are counted or whether those count for our future, the allotment we get, depending on what snapshot in time, because of course it's never a rolling number. You have to pick a number, and at least the last time it was counted as accurately as possible, that's the number they'll move forward with. So I think we'll get a little credit from what we've already done. But yeah, I think looking at what we have out there for open space, again, this is kind of an important part of the town as well too, of thinking about our regulations. Again, this is aside from zoning. So that's a very important thing that they said, is it doesn't matter if your zoning says that you can't necessarily build here. It has to have a larger actually dedicated to the public use or an easement or something specific that says it can't be used, zoning aside. So I think it's a little early to say specifically, but at least I know Newington has made a lot of progress in the housing numbers that hopefully will be reflected, even with the number that we're given.
Thank you.
Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Paul, for sharing some time with us. I'm just going to share some, I guess, kind of general comments. I have looked exhaustively into this piece of legislation, and so I don't have a lot of questions, and the questions I did have, you answered, so thank you. I mean, first of all, I'll just say, I think I commend the legislature for trying to find a solution to this issue that we all feel, which is that housing is extremely, remarkably unaffordable throughout our entire state. And we don't have enough of it. We don't have enough quality of it. We don't have enough at the scale that we need in terms of the different income brackets. It is an absolute mess. So I appreciate them trying to take a stab at solving the issue. That being said, I always have concerns about legislation like this, particularly on housing issues, because to the point that was made, we in Newington have led, for better or worse, in making a lot of progress on housing without being pushed around to do it. And I'm concerned, as I know you raised this concern as well, Paul, that we get credit for what we've done. Because again, for better or for worse, we have been able to build housing very rapidly in town, including affordable housing. And we need to get credit for that. I'm glad that one of the next steps here is going to be in pursuit of this developable land inventory, to review with the zoning commission what conservation easements exist and what others may need to be put on paper, on parchment, to actually sort them out. Because I think that's going to be really extremely important. To Councilor Tiniakis's point, we're as a town, upwards of 95% developed, one of the most developed towns in the entire state of Connecticut. If we have any hope of preserving our open space, we need to record it on paper. So I'm really glad that that's the next step, and that we can dedicate some of that land to specific uses in our zoning regs, so that they're not falling victim to that developable land inventory. I'm also, one thing I will say that I'm really happy about in the bill is the focus on the infrastructure needs, looking at them holistically, because I think a lot of the housing that we've developed over the past few years, what some of the concerns that I've had about them, serious concerns I've had about them, and I've heard from members of the public, is that they're not well connected to anything. And it's not clear that our infrastructure can sustain them or could sustain them. And obviously, the town engineer and the fire department and others are involved in that process at the point of an application. But, there's always been a sense that the infrastructure that question was not fully figured out, whether it's traffic or other things, before these projects were approved. And so I think it's really important that we have rules on the books and expectations on the books about how these projects need to account for the infrastructure that they will take on, that we will ultimately all have to pay for, not these developers. So I think that's really, really important. And one thing I'm really glad that's in the bill is that. And I'll leave it there. Again, I really appreciate your work, Paul, and your staff's work, not just preparing this presentation, but internalizing this bill and learning the verbiage and language of it, and providing us with up-to-date information. You've been a phenomenal resource to all of us in trying to understand this. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilor Jacob.
Okay, following up on Councilor Tiniakis's regarding, again, the developable land, there is a better definition in here from the last time we talked. In your opinion, do we have a lot of land that's vulnerable being put on this list at this point?
It's really going to depend on the guidance. And I think what they're looking at, there are some tracks that are undeveloped. What I see a lot of opportunity, though, when we have the development land inventory, is that other step of looking at where it would be the targeted areas. It wouldn't necessarily, my goal would not be that they would be open space type of areas, or areas that have great, natural resources in them. It would be areas that, are either currently underdeveloped or are currently have, kind of that mix between the industrial, commercial, and residential areas now that already have a lot of issues between the connection. that those could be opportunities. Again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself on that, but this is what I've seen in looking at when you have that matrix of land use, when you go the transect through, and when you abruptly move from a residential use to an industrial use, or residential use to a commercial use, we have a lot of friction in a lot of areas in town right now. So if we do have to designate areas, again, this is not designated areas saying there's a target on the back. Again, this is opportunities. This is not saying you're going to take anyone's properties.
Mhm.
This is saying, okay, if people wanted to get together, if someone said, I see this area as an opportunity that I will buy these houses, and there's a way to make it a better transect between the two that will provide a little more peace to the single family properties and a little more buffer to the commercial properties, that's where I would look for opportunities for housing. Is it that different type of that missing middle? Again, that's very heavy in this bill of what it's looking for is that missing middle housing. I'll be talking more about that tomorrow as well. But I think those are the more interesting opportunities that are available out there. It's that redevelopment and doing it in a way that actually tries to improve quality of life overall for residents in the area. But, you know, if you look anywhere, we don't have that many parcels that are available. You know, we have some smaller subdivisions that haven't been built out that, you know, have like 6 lots in them. Is that something that they would look forward and say, okay, under summary review, maybe that could be a different type of housing? That's something, again, that could be in the plan, but that's, you know, we're a year down the road for even kind of figuring that out.
It does look at this point that our parks, Indian Hill, let's say, whatever, are protected. Is that true?
I would say, again, by the definition, again, dedicated to a public purpose, like a park. Yes, that's dedicated. Now, if there's guidance that says how that needs to be dedicated, and there's something we need to do on the legal end, something we need to file on land records, that's something that'll be very important in the guidance. And that's what I hope we get from OPM to figure out what is to make sure that that is at least understood. Again, this is kind of counting of the area. So it's not saying, okay, if something's not on there, that someone has an instant right to develop. That's different. You know, if it's owned by the town, you don't have to give up the town land. Someone can't say, I'm taking the land from the town to do this.
But if it's town land and it's not zoned open space or what, I mean, if it's zoned art like Mill Pond, before the open space committee lobbied to get an open space zone, all the parks were zoned residential. So my fear is, is there any land that's owned by the town currently that we do enjoy the use of in terms of, you know, passive open space or, you know, green space that is, should we be rezoning that now to open space or just leaving it to whatever?
Yep. So that's part of the analysis that we're actually, Eric and I are working on now in the office. But an important thing is this is a plan on that, and there's nothing compelling the town to sell its land. That's a process. That's a public
No.
process. Correct. But there's nothing in this bill that I see that compels the town to sell its land, to develop its land. Now, it says to create policies that to work with people on certain areas, but if it's our park, it's a public space. It has great value. You know, that's something that I really love about Newington is when you look at our neighborhoods, we have a lot of these neighborhood parks. It really creates a cool little sense of place in each neighborhood. That's something that I would not like to see the town give up at all. That's something I would like to see, you know, strengthened as much as possible, especially with any new neighborhoods that come in.
And one of the things, I guess, just from a philosophical perspective, you are basically going to be looking at privately owned land, sending the privately owned land information, and the state is going to be making a determination that, oh, it's developable for housing. My fear is, okay, so what's the eventual goal? I mean, this is just philosophical, but you are taking private property, sending it to the state, saying this could be developable land, and I'm concerned about what pressure or what may be happening to the private landowner in the future, but that's just an editorial comment. The CROG that we're in, the capital region, is quite large. And it would seem if they're going to be, you know, and I know you don't know what everybody's housing allocation is going to be, but, you know, when you're thinking of a municipal plan versus being part of a CROG. Our CROG does include some towns that have been kind of identified as not having to immediately comply with this housing, Manchester, New Britain, East Hartford, whatever. So I would hope that someone would be lobbying that, because let's say in our COG, certain towns are being taken out of the mix of having to comply, that their numbers will not be pushed onto the remaining towns. So I hope somebody's looking at that. I'm sorry, Paul, I know you're doing your best to, but this is like, I just see our land and our rights being taken away bit by bit by bit. The also thing that I have a concern with is the parcel and zone identification. You got to look at current regulatory and infrastructural constraints on the zones. Well, sometimes these zones were put in so that we could have larger lot sizes, or not have, 3, 4, 5-story housing, in a single family neighborhood. So those in a state legislators or who's ever doing this view, that's a constraint. Whereas we have it in our zoning laws as something that we want to maintain to keep our quality of life, whatever. So I'm concerned about the law and the implications, and it's one thing to say, that now that's not going to be their intent. Well, unfortunately, I've seen too many people say, well, that's not the intent. And then 4 or 5 years later, it does become the intent. So I think we really do have to be very careful on pushing back for our town needs. That's just my comment. Thank you.
Constant vigilance.
I just put that, but the OPM, again, the angel communities, that's what they've been kind of coined as the, net grand list. Hopefully when OPM is looking at this and looking at those numbers, those are areas with a high amount of housing, some aren't. That hopefully that counts. And when you look at all the housing that's already existing in our region, some areas are not as developed, but we have very developed areas, and we are one of them within our region that should be considered, again, at their capacity, but also what they have already contributed in our density that we have
We
now.
would hope so.
Yes.
Counselor Capella.
Okay, a lot of my questions were answered and, but I just have a few more. So is there a cap or a threshold as to how much we're gonna be, be building in, our town? Because I'm looking around, there's so many that we have already built right now, and everyone's, pretty much saying that, how many more apartments are we gonna have here? We're losing that small town feel. So is there a cap or a threshold that, like AJ was asking, do we have that in place already, or are we close to meeting that?
So there wouldn't be a cap on, say, overall dwelling units in any municipality. That's typically not something that's even enabled by the zoning statutes themselves. So what this would be, it's a goal. And that's what they're trying to do. Here's the goal of amount of units to add, and then you report back on it every year what you've done. And it could be, we've worked with that. This is what's happened in the community. This is what hasn't happened. It's not a mandated number that you have to build. It's not like something to say, okay, town, you must dedicate X amount of your budget to building houses. That's not where this kind of goes. This is the goal. But yes, we will be reporting, and then as that goes forward, what is this gonna ask? Okay, if you don't meet that goal or you don't report, the key thing is to report. We have many things we report on now. We had we report every year that we meet certain statutes, we report that our regulations are compliance with this and that. That's common. So we'll be reporting on what has happened, but it's not a cap per se, it's a goal that they're gonna be requesting of the towns, basically saying, this is your goal to meet.
Well, what if that threshold isn't what they're thinking, and it's actually putting a huge strain in our infrastructure?
So I think that's the important part of looking at those constraints of infrastructure, and what's gonna be important. It's gonna be important for MDC to be working with, again, their member towns, but also with CROG and figuring out, and that, because that's been a big question of when developments come in. the issue with, sewer and water is it's availability, capacity and analysis each time they build. So each new thing coming in, it changes. Every development changes what's available. So it's very hard to do a static number, but I think it's going to be very important to have them at the table when we're looking at the constraints of every municipality in the region.
Okay. My other question is, who pays for the infrastructure upgrades that are tied into the new housing?
So it depends on what is required. So if an infrastructure, so say this is kind of a development question, someone needs to put in a new water main. As part of it, for example, Culver Street Apartments, a new water main came down on Culver Street. The developer paid for the water main.
Okay.
In the future, yes, maintenance of those water mains, when they are public water mains, becomes a public maintenance item. But the initial installation of those items, if it's required for the development, is the developer's responsibility.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor DeHaas.
There's been a couple of mentions of zoning and how certain zone statuses, I guess, are exempt from this rule. Is there anywhere in here where they would build and be able to come in and say, we don't think that zone status actually fits that land, so you need to change that? And then switch it to something that they could then apply to this open space rule.
So I think we're gonna see how this process unfolds, and it's gonna be a partner process. Whether we, again, to that decision inflection point of whether we go it alone or whether we continue to work with CROG. I view it as we'd be working with CROG because they're gonna be the ones who establish the numbers. And then if we don't like those numbers, we have to establish our own and go through our own process that will have to be approved anyway. But I would not see it as saying you have to change your zone. It's gonna identify potentially areas where rezoning could happen. Again, my focus would be on those interfaces where in any area we have issues now, it's an opportunity to potentially fix certain things like buffers and that with different types of housing. That's how I would like this plan to be looked at. And I think that's a very reasonable and responsible way to continue redevelopment in areas, is to consider that interface between the two uses. But I don't see anyone saying you have to change your zone. It's not OPM who's making this plan and coming down and saying, this is the zone, you must make it. I think it's gonna be here are opportunities to do that within the municipality. Now, I wouldn't, we don't wanna see them in industrial zones, obviously. Industrial and residential are not very compatible uses. And that's kind of that interface where we have a couple areas right now where I have received complaints.
Okay. I'm just concerned that we have something, we've protected our parks and taken them off of residential zoning and put them as public park. But then I don't want certain other ones to kind of be like, well, this one kind of fits there. And now it's ours to apply this to. So, because to Councilor Tiniakis's point, we have about 5% left of open space, and that's not a big number. I don't want to see any of it disappear.
Counselor Draco.
Yeah, just one, I guess, request or warning. I know all this sounds very aspirational and there's goals and this, there's going to be, absolutely wonderful and it's an opportunity for the town. But in past bills, in past legislation, there's been, we'll pay for the infrastructure or we'll pay for this, if you do it. But if you don't, you're going to be a big disincentive. So I don't, again, I can't see the future, but I hope that you would be watching out for the fact that if you don't meet the goal, or if you don't change the zone, or if you don't allow this, Newington's going to be, there will be disincentives for municipalities, and that has happened in past legislation. And that is, I can see that happening. Again, editorial comment, but I've been watching this too long. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you, Counselor. Deputy Mayor Rada.
This actually relates to what Constable Draco was speaking to. We talk about goals, and I know this is, I'll read the full legislation, but you probably can't answer this now, but what concerns me is the language. We talk about goals. They're not mandated yet, but we've seen over time with other programs and other departments that these unfunded mandates. Again, what are the goals? How are they set? And what if the goals are not met? Does it become an opportunity or a burden? And that's one of my concerns.
Yeah, it's, as of right now, there's not anything I see in the current bill. It's more, and there are other parts of this bill. That's why I encourage you to look at the Connecticut cog, the general overview of all of them. There's a lot of sections that are actually voluntary programs. There are TOD style voluntary programs. There are multiple different things in here that can be done. A lot of them actually focus on 830G moratoria, which right now the town is at 10.31 or 10.13, sorry. 1, 2. But the key thing in that is, so moratoria is not needed at this moment, but you don't know what the future can hold as well. So that's something for the town to keep in mind. And again, if you have questions on those voluntary programs, ask me or through the town manager as well. And we can see if we can get you answers for those. But this is one narrow part of this bill. There's a lot to this bill.
And thank you for coming and beginning
Yes.
the process of presentation. Thank you.
Yep. As a reminder, if you have comments on those, April 30th is when they're getting public comment for those guidelines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for being here tonight. All I would say is, I mean, it sounds like, obviously there's a lot in here and there's a lot that's just so unknown still. But I think what's clear and what I got from you is that we really need to make sure we're at the table as these discussions happen. So what I would ask is that, between you and Jonathan and everyone else is please keep us in the loop for that. So that when we need to be at the table and we're ready to go, and we can bring our whole team there and make sure that Newington is being advocated for properly. So just please keep us in the loop on that. But appreciate you being here and all your work on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. After that palate cleanser. We've got one final proclamation to do for tonight. Recognizing the retirement of our amazing Parks and Rec Supervisor, Bill DeMayo. Proclamation of the Newington Town Council. Whereas Bill DeMayo played a key role in the design, approval, and successful referendum that led to the construction of the Mortensen Community Center, creating an important gathering place for residents of the community. And whereas Bill has been a strong advocate for individuals of all abilities, ensuring that parks, playgrounds, outdoor fitness areas, ball fields, walkways, and recreational facilities throughout town were designed and constructed to be fully accessible. And whereas Bill introduced innovative maintenance equipment to the department, including automated mowers, laser-guided ball field graders, and automated sports field painting machines, improving efficiency and saving valuable time and resources for the town. And whereas, under Bill's leadership, numerous recreational amenities were developed and improved, including basketball courts, pickleball courts, field turf, life-size chess and checkerboards, tennis courts, and softball and baseball fields for the enjoyment of residents of all ages. And whereas, Bill expanded community engagement through the creation of popular public events, including Motorcycle Madness, Newington Goes Country, Food Truck Friday, the Life Be In It Extravaganza, the Water Lantern Festival, Night of Lights, the seasonal concert series, the ADA anniversary celebration, international lacrosse, and other programs that strengthen community spirit while generating positive economic activity. And whereas Bill cultivated valuable public-private partnerships with civic organizations and businesses throughout the state of Connecticut, raising tens of thousands of dollars to support parks, recreation, and community initiatives. And whereas Bill oversaw the expansion of West Meadow Cemetery with 2 new sections and helped place the cemetery on a stable, self-sustaining financial footing, while also securing state grant funding to restore historic limestone monuments at Center Cemetery. And whereas during Bill's tenure, the Recreation Division significantly expanded its services, doubling the number of programs and related revenue over the past decade, including an enhanced summer playground program, a thriving swim lesson program, and a popular adult co-ed sports program featuring volleyball, kickball, wiffle ball, soccer, and flag football. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby recognizes and honors Bill DeMayo for his dedication, leadership, and lasting contribution to the parks, recreation facilities, and the community life of the town of Newington, and extends its sincere appreciation for his years of outstanding public service. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 24th day of March, 2026. You have a motion?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Plord. Any discussion from council on this? Counselor Plord.
Thank you, Mayor. Bill, I really don't know where to start. I think I'll start here. Like you, born and raised in Newington. And I took for granted growing up in Newington that all those amazing memories that I had in our parks or on the soccer field or at the Life Be In It extravaganza were just a part of growing up. I never realized or recognized until much, much later that those experiences, those memories, they were a choice that somebody made for me to have. And Bill, that was a choice that you made because you felt that our community, the community that you had given so much to already, deserved good things, deserved those experiences, that kids in our community deserved the opportunity to enjoy our parks and enjoy those amenities and have those memories. And being a community that we are, always kind of scrappy and working middle class, you did it all with private partnerships, so we didn't have to pay a dime a lot of the time too, which was wonderful. But you did it in the best interests of our community. You've always put those interests first. You've been an inspiration to people in this community. You've been a deep inspiration to me. And there are going to be significant shoes to fill. I think we all recognize that. But the team that you've built, the infrastructure that you've built, as evidenced by the proclamation, but that we all see and feel every day, is going to last for a generation. You have built such a legacy here, Bill, a legacy that you're going to continue building as you continue your advocacy efforts, particularly around ADA. And we are so immeasurably grateful for the service that you've contributed to this community. So I want to extend my sincere congratulations on a well-deserved retirement, on a professional life well lived, shall we say, and a sincere thank you for your service to our community, Bill. And we're always here, likewise, if we can ever be helpful and supportive. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gonzalez.
Counselor Fleur, that's a tough one to follow.
Bill, thank you so much for everything that you have done for our community. I grew up in a neighboring town, I won't say which one, but we definitely did not have the things that Newington has growing up. We have a whole week leading up to a fireworks show where I lived, we just had a fireworks show. It wasn't like that. And you really have touched the lives of so many people from young to older, in so many different ways. I am sad to see you go, but you absolutely deserve it. You have just been amazing for our town. And I want you to enjoy your retirement and just thank you so much for everything that you've done. You really, really have impacted so many people. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Rada.
Bill, as another Newington kid, I grew up appreciating and making use of the parks, the open space, the activities throughout town, and now as an adult, there's even more to do, and that's thanks to you and your team. And I know this will continue, excuse me, because you have put together such an amazing group of people who can continue to work. And the person that will be taking over has big shoes to fill, but I'm sure that that person will do it and will do it well and will do it with a tremendous amount of support, and including support from the council. I'm sure also that this list of accomplishments only touches on what you and your team have done over the years, and want to excuse me, thank you so much for everything that you've done, everything that you do. Someone mentioned a legacy, and I think that will that will be here in town. So thank you so much, and just hope that you have an amazing retirement. I'm sure you already have some ideas in mind and some places to go and things to do, and do them joyfully. And just, we appreciate you, and you appreciate the time now that you have. And thank you so much.
Counselor Bedrejko.
Yeah, Bill, you've put a lot of time, a lot of energy, sweat probably, enthusiasm, and most importantly, I think heart into your position. By your strong leadership and really a vision, you truly, I think, transformed the Parks and Recreation Department here in Newington. You, by your efforts and your staff efforts, you've made and created many, many happy and fun moments for the people here in Newington. But now it's going to be your time to play, your time to laugh, and your time to enjoy the show. So thank you for all you've accomplished, and congratulations.
Counselor. Counselor Tiniakis.
Bill, we met 3 years ago. And prior to that, every time I asked about you, everyone had great things to say about you. So, initially I thought everyone was just kind of blowing smoke around. But then after actually meeting you, I realized that all of those things were true. It's been a pleasure working with you so closely on the Parks and Rec Board. I've had great times just chatting with you. And I'm not that great, again, sentimental in a public setting. So I wrote you a letter. So come grab it before you go, and you can read it tonight. It'll tell you everything, all my thoughts and feelings about you, man.
So Deputy Mayor Rada.
One thing that I thought about after I finished speaking, and I'll see if I can get a promise from the rest of the counselors that at the next night of lights, we will do our best. Well, we'll do our best to have the 12 Days of Christmas recorded with special attention to a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
And it will be sent to you wherever you happen to be.
It'll be extra special.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor.
Bill.
I'm not a Newington kid. I didn't grow up in this town. I came here as an adult and raised my children here. And when I first got here, it became very clear early on that you are the face of this community as far as I'm concerned. You were the most famous person. You were always on. You were always promoting things. You were always everywhere. And to me, it was the energy that you exuded was really, representative of what this town was about, and your importance in that there. I mean, I said this when you were on Talk to the Mayor. The first time I met you, I was very nervous. It was meeting a celebrity in my eyes. Like you were, and you had the horse, and it was nuts. But and as we've gone through over the years, I mean, your dedication to this community and recreation in this community is unmatched. I mean, what wasn't mentioned in here is your dedication to youth sports in this town. I mean, we talk about the automatic field painters. I mean, I've seen the robot painter. It's amazing. It really, and it takes so much effort off of you. We have the best, the ball field lining, and the investment you put in this community that all of our children get to enjoy. It's amazing. I've watched my son grow up playing soccer on the fields that you guys have maintained and kept them good for him. I've watched kids play baseball. I've watched kids play basketball in this gym over here. And I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, and it's on the agenda for later that we're going to submit your name to have this gymnasium named for you. And I can't think of anything more appropriate than having your name on that gym. You're an institution in this town. In the room, it says a legend is retiring. It is appropriate. You are a legend. You're an institution. And I am so happy for you that you get to enjoy your retirement, but I'm so sad for the town that we're losing you because you're such a big part of our community. But I'm so happy for you. And I can't thank you enough for all of your years of service to this community. And I know I said this to you before, and Deputy Mayor Rada said it, I will expect you to be there at the Night of Lights singing with us this year. We'll get you a hat, emeritus rec director, and you're gonna sing it. But please enjoy your time. I know you got your new granddaughter. You got a lot of good things to go and enjoy. Please enjoy it, and thank you for everything you've done for our community. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Microphone right here.
So I got your proclamation and your clock right in front of you. Oh.
You're ruining the surprise.
It's amazing how time flies. Thank you. So let's take a picture. So you can-
Which way we?
Really, right. Yeah. Perfect.
Congratulations. You want me to say something or not?
Absolutely. Yes, please, please,
Is
please.
your? Stand.
Yeah.
Sue's got it.
Where's the mic? Right here. Thank you. Oops, I got you now. Council and mayor and town manager and everybody else here. Just a sincere thanks. It's been just an honor and a privilege to be the team leader of the Parks and Recreation Department. I think about standing on other people's shoulders, and I had the good fortune to know Clem Lemire and his wife Lily. When they moved to Manchester, New Hampshire and became Parks and Rec directors, I was into my career. I remember every good memory, most memories that I have that are great come from Newington Parks and Rec in the town of Newington. I started swim lessons at Churchill Pond under Clem Lemire. I mean, just crazy stuff. Everything I did, foul shooting contests at Elizabeth Green, making the Martin Kellogg basketball team, playing the first Newington Knights midget football at 9 years old. And that just kept going on. And then Bob Stanley making me be the ice skating supervisor and the sledding supervisor and umpiring baseball and all that kind of stuff. Just everything. Newington has been nothing but great to me and my family. And my kids all benefited by the education department here. We all got much more than I gave. I'm just so happy and pleased and proud and thank you for everything that you've done for us. I want to thank the past Parks and Recreation Board members, past and present, and the past and present town councilors, the town managers and the mayors, for those of you who supported the Newington Parks and Recreation Department, because obviously it takes a team to put this thing together. Without you guys and without funding and the money and the budget and the leadership and all that, we could have never done what we did. I tried very hard to be the coach and try to surround myself with great players. And boy, was I successful at that. I've got the greatest staff in the entire world. It's amazing on the three divisions, the cemeteries, the parks. When I got here 10 years ago, if those of you remember, we didn't have a good relationship with the parks and management, but boy, we're getting along beautifully now. Everything is wonderful. Couldn't say enough good about those guys. And they come to work every day with their lunchbox and their hat and their gloves, and they just work hard, dedicated to this town of Newington. And boy, am I proud of them. The recreation side, unbelievable. I mean, I pushed those guys hard and they responded. I mean, some towns would wish for one good special event. We have about 12 of them that, put us on TV and on radios and everything else across the country. Water Lantern Festival, we used to card the people to see if they were old enough to drink. And they came from 26 different states to come to our town. I mean, that says something about Newington, and it's going to continue. The Parks and Recreation staff is just phenomenal. We have 2 new rec supervisors. They're great. Roderick's great. They're just I surrounded myself with great people. But I'd be remiss not to mention 2 key people. Clay Pedigo, our park supervisor. I would say that at times in the beginning, 6 years ago, I'd introduce him kind of like he's a former greenskeeper at golf courses. But now I don't have to say that anymore. All I can say is Clay's just a great park supervisor, period. And he is. And he has stand the test of time. And I'm grateful for Clay. And then without any further, with the highest accolades, Melissa Miller is my guardian angel. She's one of the greatest workers I've ever met, and just totally into Newington. Her family's wonderful. I couldn't say enough good about her. She put that party together pretty much herself with the help of others, but man, it was what a day. I'll tell you, this has been one crazy day. And I'm thankful for the three chair people. Eileen Francolino is here. She's been around. She started as a lifeguard in Parks and Recreation. I mean, that's how we all are here at Newington. It's just like one big family. Don Woods, 38 years of volunteer work. Are you kidding me? You know, the guy did it all. And he told me on the phone today, he said, I'll be there for Life Being a Day. I'll volunteer again. So incredible. And then Jay Batalico, my football coach when I was young. And I mean, Jay was crazy, but he was the greatest. You know, he supported me 100%. And he said, please, Bill, just put lights on that Legends Field and I'll be so pleased. I've been trying for 26 years to get lights and you guys supported us on that. So thank you, Town Council, on behalf of Jay and the Little Leagues. I'm most proud of this community center, as you probably know. I'm thankful to be part of lots of people were involved in designing it. And I was glad to help and pass it through the referendum and then construct it, but most of all, program it. For those of you who don't know, last year, 200,000 visits to the community center at Mortensen. I was lucky enough to know Elmer Mortensen, and he was a family friend. And he'd be very proud of what the heck's going on right now down here. And I'm sure his whole family is certainly involved in that too. Elmer Mortensen was one quality guy. And he was friends with my mom and dad. And I've been very grateful. So many thank yous, but I'm just going to cut it short and just say that this, as many of you said, and I do believe this with all my heart, that everything is set for the new people to take over. This has been a journey, a really happy journey for me. And, but I went all the way to the nth number to try to get everything set all the way to September 1st to help the new people be successful. I'm going to sit, now that the journey's over for me, I'll be stepping out, but I'll be watching the journey from the sidelines, helping when I can, but not interfering one bit, but just be happy and smiling. I hope for everybody that I met in my way, I hope I brought a smile or a laughter to you, because that was pretty much my goal. I've always lived by the rule of he who dies with the most friends wins. And I've been trying to do that all my life. The Life Being It extravaganza, I hope all of you live it the way the slogan says, put more into life and in return, get more out of it. Enjoy life more. I've been living that since 1979 at Rocky Hill Parks and Recreation. I'm thankful for the National Recreation and Parks Association for giving me opportunities. I went to 35 different cities and states and tried to evaluate their parks and rec departments and their facilities and tried to copy them here in Newington in a fast 10-year way. So that was a lot of fun and enjoyable. So you've got the best here. You've got the best of the best for our town size and the population. I'll put us up against anybody. We got the greatest staff in the world. The new rec supervisors are great. So you're going to be good there. And the future is so bright. The future is going to be so successful here, and I'm going to be enjoying it. As I step out of this role as superintendent, I do it bittersweet, of course. I love it, love Newington, love this department, and love what's going on. But I have a new phase in my life. I have so many good things happening. First of all, I'm going to share that a lot of good quality time with my wife, Sue, is here. She's been by my side 100%, and we'll be celebrating our 45th anniversary in October. So you don't hear that too often anymore. So yeah. She has a burden that she carries with her. She's always right. So, yeah. And with that, I say that I hope that we make Newington continue to make it a strong, building a strong community, as our slogan says. And I hope that we make Newington and continue to make it a better place to live, work, and play. It's been a wonderful run here. I may go back. I did 26 years of penance on the Senior Disabled Center Commission. I may go back to it. Who knows? You never know how it's all going to plan out. But I'm appreciative of all you guys. Thank you to everybody that played a part in my life and made my life a little bit more fun and easier to do. It's been a joyful and grateful run, and I think this community center will bring continuous joy and interconnectivity of all the residents of Newington for many decades to come. So thanks for everything, everybody.
At this point, I'll open up the floor for anyone who would like to come up and speak on his proclamation. Come on up, please. Yeah, come on up. You guys should rate. Whoever gets here first. Just state your name and address for the record.
Andrew Brecker, 120 Stagecoach Lane. Like everybody else in the room, I commend the town council on recognizing Bill for his profound impact on the town of Newington. It is rightfully deserved. I've known Bill for decades, but my respect for him really grew when I worked beside him at Town Hall. You see, Bill and I share a philosophy. We both believe that by improving the town, its programs, its services, its facilities, that is vital to sustaining our local quality of life and continuously making Newington a more desirable place to live. And whether we want to accept it or not, we are in competition with the communities around us. Living here is a choice. I think Paul Dixon actually pointed that out. And it's one that we want people to make to maintain a robust community and avoid entering into a downward spiral, which is a reality. And many of you counselors expressed your concerns with policies that could be made that in fact could deteriorate our community. I told Bill many times that he is the type of employee or department head or guy that I would hug every day, but I would also fire him every day. And the reason is he can be maddening, absolutely maddening. I estimate that Bill has had more disputes and more grievances than any other department head in Town Hall. But that's always because he wanted better. He wanted better programs, better ideas, better productivity, everybody doing their jobs better every day and doing it enthusiastically. A tall order. He has accomplished a lot, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some friction, Mr. Town Manager. So I only mean that between how you have to mediate these disputes. The irony is that with little physical eyesight, Bill DeMaio has more vision than anybody around him. It's likely impossible to find another municipal bureaucrat, which itself is an oxymoron, a municipal bureaucrat to be an entrepreneur like Bill, doing new things and hitting up businesses to fund initiatives and lower the costs of events. However, as Bill has pointed out, we can honor his legacy by properly funding the Parks and Recreation budget, including adding maintenance dollars to refresh our aging parks and facilities. Bill might be irreplaceable, but the things he worked so hard to build, we can certainly commit to perpetuating them. And by the way, Bill was right about Mill Pond and Churchill Parks. Having visited all 50 United States and more than 50 countries, I can say unequivocally, our parks are shabby and in need of a complete rebuild. I will disagree with Bill on one thing. He erred in agreeing on the recommendation to spend $12 million for a pool plan when he actually should have proposed the $17 million plan for the total renovation of Mill Pond Park. It's the right way to do it. We need to be able to step up to see that it's done. Bill always showed the courage to move our town forward. A courage I hope this council and manager and councils to come and managers to come, that they'll show the same level of courage, which will be harder to do without Bill around to badger you. So good luck, Bill. Your energy and foresight will continue to benefit all the organizations that you're involved with in the state of Connecticut and around the country. And I know you'll stay involved with them and that your contribution will benefit them just as you have benefited Newington. Thank you.
Come on up, the floor is open, come on up. Oh, there's a couple of you.
Good evening. Gary Bowles, 28 Burden Lane. One of the many accomplishments of Bill DeMayo that shine brightly was his insistence that we have 2 gyms when this town hall was in the planning stages. I know he had many back and forths with the architects, and I'm sure he had a few arguments, but I know there was some opposition because of the additional cost. But Bill, having the foresight of the revenue that this additional gym would bring to our town, was worth its weight in gold. As a friend, next door neighbor, how lucky I am, and an outstanding person, I wish you many years of happy retirement with your wonderful wife and wonderful family. Thank you, Bill.
Try again.
Yeah.
I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to Bill on his well-deserved retirement. I served alongside Bill for many years on the Commission on Aging and Disabled. I believe he was chair when I was appointed in the 1980s. I witnessed firsthand his out-of-the-box ideas, exemplary leadership and enthusiasm, his commitment to help making the senior center accessible and inclusive, as well as his enduring friendship and extensive expertise in accessibility and ADA issues. This greatly benefited both our community and many individuals. Although his departure from the commission to Parks and Recreation was a loss for us on the commission, Bill was now able to demonstrate outstanding leadership for the entire town, all while maintaining a steadfast dedication to seniors and individuals with disabilities. I hope that Bill will enjoy his new life and get to spend more time with his family and friends. And just in case he gets bored, I hope he will come back to the commission. Congratulations, Bill.
Can I have you state your name and address? I think you get your name and address so we can get it in the record. Yeah.
We know who you are.
Yeah, but we know, but you have to state it for the record. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Karen Brecker, 120 Stagecoach Lane.
Thank you, appreciate it. Come on up. And have you state your name and address for the record.
Wayne Alexander, 28 Burden Lane. It's one thing for me to just have that moment in time where I could actually write in favor before this day. And I just want to quote a couple of lines from what I wrote to the rare reminder and sent off to a number of people, but Councilmember Tiniaco said, Bill, you're a champion of a lot of things, but most certainly a champion to make sure that we in Newington are ADA compliant as much as we can be. You know, you don't hear that a lot from a Parks and Recs director. But you know, when somebody suffers, and I don't think it's suffering really for Bill, but when somebody suffers from a disability, and what he does is he doesn't let that press him down. It doesn't let them, that natural occurrence, just say, you know what? I don't have to try hard. He's just the opposite. So you really really got a gift here in Newington in Bill DeMayo. That's my personal. But the one thing that when I wrote in this letter, I wanted to say that recognition for quality people and all of your responsibility who sit here. Recognition for quality people is not always appreciated, but it is important to mention it because these are the people who contribute consistently and act as the glue of a community. Tell me this guy wasn't the glue of this community that advances the heart and soul of what a town wants. In appreciation of such service, we thank Mr. DeMayo and the tireless service and the tireless efforts of all town personnel who strive to serve the town as a whole. And that, if anything, is the legacy that we honor, and that's the legacy he leaves here. You know, he may not be gone, he may still contribute, but that is the legacy of Bill DeMayo. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come up and speak on this item? Kind of don't want this to end. I want this to keep going. Thank you so much, Bill, for coming out here tonight. We will see you back here soon. Appreciate everything that you've done for us over the years and enjoy yourself. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Ugh. Whoever's gonna speak in public participation next, I gotta come back to policy. We're gonna open the floor up for public participation in general. If you'd like to speak in public participation, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. You have 4 minutes to speak. If you are on Zoom and would like to do that, please use the raise hand function and we will alternate between in the room and over Zoom. The floor is open. Would you like to?
You set me up so good.
I hate to bring the mood down now. Jacob Knowlton, 10 Hillside Street. I'm gonna speak kind of in two parts right now. The first I'll get out of the way is I work for CROG. I am working on all this mess with the housing bill, but we appreciate the coordination that has come to the table through this nonetheless. I wanted to provide some reassurance because I know it's a very scary thing, and including us, we're trying to rack our brains around all of it. But starting this Monday, we had a new person come onto the team, SN. She's fantastic. Easily, when I saw her interview, my jaw dropped because we stole her from another COG. But she's easily one of the best planning talents in Connecticut at the moment. And she is the person who's going to be working on our housing plan and working hopefully with you guys and the rest of our 37 towns, in total 38. But I wanted to provide some reassurance. The first is that we have guidelines that are approved by our board, which you guys are a member of. And one of those is the POCD. So we have set things that we are actively following as we are getting kind of these legislative updates. The first one is our priorities of protecting open space. And I don't want, it is a very scary thing to provide the state developable land and wonder in the unknown of what they're going to do with it. But for the most part, we, and I'm not part of the state, but I'm part of CROG, have no intention, and we would get wrung out if we started building on parks or anything like that. There's no one who's going to be doing that. That is unconscionable for the most part. Yeah, and just all in all. The other thing too is that in our POCD, there's very clear priorities in terms of not building on green fields. And what that means is that prioritization is going to be infill development. That is meaning large parking lots or the Hartford campus, things like that, TOD areas that might be undeveloped, things that won't be touch environmental protection areas, wetlands, things like that. Your open space, your active open space. Some things are obviously we're going to need to work out when we get numbers. We're going to have to figure out how that's going to go. And part of it is probably going to be working with your existing zoning and seeing where slight adjustments can be made. One example is for the lower end of that missing middle to be allowed in residential zones so that not all the pressure is on your commercial zones. And that's like my existing house on 10 Hillside Street. It's a duplex and you would never know walking by, right? So these things already exist and they're not so scary. But what I really wanted to convey is that we have a great team. Don't write us off just yet. We're people like you from these towns. I live here. I lived here my whole life. And we really just want to work with you guys, whether that is with your choice of going with us or going your own way. We want to make sure that you guys have a seat at the table to begin with, and let us know all your thoughts. I want to work with Paul. He has a great team as well. He's fantastic. And we really think that we can move forward where we provide, again, a plan, right? This is not a promise of anything. It is just strictly trying to get us to a point where the housing needs are being met. So with that, I'll leave it, but I hope we can work together maybe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have one on Zoom. We'll go to them and then you'll be up. All right, Lewis, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm just trying to talk a little bit about this whole stuff for CROG with these stuff.
Can you
for
please state your
affordable-
name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, it's 482 Churchill Drive,
Your name?
Louis Nero.
Okay, thank you.
So
Go
I'm just
ahead.
I have been involved in some of this stuff for the state and had there was a bill that was going through for home inspectors, and I got to listen to a lot of the housing committee stuff and was talking and hearing about a lot of the stuff that people were talking about with some of these apartment buildings that scared me. It's a lot different when it's owner occupied places, but when it's owned or occupied by a developer, they're kind of scary with the stories that you hear. And the state is trying to do a lot of stuff to push these things. But then what I don't understand is that they're trying to push out bills for teachers and police to be able to afford houses, but they're trying to push everybody else into apartment buildings, and it's just scary. I heard about the whole stuff with Rocky Hill and all the stuff that those people were going through, and just should not have been living in those conditions. And that's what I'm afraid of. A lot of these buildings are going to turn into is that situation all over again. And it just scares me. So I just want people just to be aware of what this can do.
Thank you so much, Lewis. Appreciate it. State your name and address.
Hello, my name is Elena Starr, and I'm from 44 Windmill Lane. And my topic is the proposed budget. So I am a homeowner, and I am here tonight representing myself, as well as a number of other Newington residents who are also residential property owners like me. We have come to, can you hear me? Okay. We have come to realize that even with the adjustment in the mill rate to 31.48, the revaluations have already increased the values of our properties so much that it significantly offsets this mill rate reduction. Then the town is going to potentially add more to our tax burden with this proposed budget increase. I'm going to offer the council a direct quote from another Newington resident who couldn't be here tonight because of work. And she said, quote, "Other residents are alarmed because the property revaluations have also increased the costs of our insurances along with the property taxes." And she said that in terms of affordability, residents are terrified and they don't know what they are going to do. So we think that it is important to recognize that a full 72.8% of all Newington taxes collected come from us Newington homeowners. And this places an already unfair and disproportionate burden on us, even in easy times. And these aren't easy times. As one resident speaker right here at this town council budget hearing on March 10, 2026 said, quote, "Until now, Newington has had an exceptionally high rate of on-time property tax payments, and we certainly risk losing that with this new proposed budget." So in closing, we property owners are asking the council and everyone involved in the budget process to please take a careful look at the numbers, to prioritize essential needs across all departments, and to find solutions that protect both our services and our residential taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Idalina Coltrera, 38 Patriot Lane. And I just wanted to say that I'm grateful that benefits for paras is a topic of discussion as well tonight, as this conversation is very past overdue. I was a special education teacher in our district from 2003 to 2009, and I'm currently a classroom teacher. You see, paraeducators are the backbone of our schools. They work with our most vulnerable population. As a special education teacher, I worked tirelessly to train our paras to be able to meet the varying needs of our students, including toileting, feeding, social, sensory, behavioral, and academic needs. But there was a huge problem that was happening. These students who needed consistency more than anything were not having that need met. And that was because of something we absolutely can control. That was because we were losing all of our paras to Berlin and other surrounding towns because those towns offered benefits. Those towns showed that they valued these highly qualified individuals, that they were asking to perform an extremely vital role in their school system. It happened so frequently, and it often went like this. A para would come to me in tears saying how much they loved working here, how much of a connection they had made with their student, but that they couldn't afford to stay here because they needed benefits. I would then have to assure the student that someone new would be working with them soon. And in the meantime, I would do my best to fill in for that para and continue with my other responsibilities until we found someone new. This constant turnaround has had a very detrimental effect on our students and overall programming. I also want to speak to this issue, not just as an educator, but also as an aunt of a child with significant needs. A paraeducator is everything to the family of a vulnerable child. My niece, who is autistic and nonverbal, has been blessed with an incredible paraeducator. When we braced ourselves for my niece's transition to middle school, we were immediately put at ease when her paraeducator volunteered to follow her to the middle school, and her school district agreed. My brother and sister-in-law and all of the family were beyond grateful for the consistency and familiarity this was going to provide to her in her new environment. Newington has always been a town that valued education. However, today we have an opportunity to make sure everyone knows that Newington values our most vulnerable population, and the extremely talented and hardworking paraeducators who service them day in and day out by making sure that paraeducators receive benefits. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And come on up.
Mayor. Good evening, Joe Harvey, 36 Baldwin Court. I sympathize with all the teachers in town and other communities in terms of providing enough funding and capability in terms of support team. My late sister was a teacher for a number of years. In fact, she taught here after she retired for some period of time. And I had relatives, cousins, and aunts all. And so I heard from an early age, behave yourself when you're on the council. Don't cut teachers. Not that it didn't stop me, but on occasion when we had to make the adjustments. But my point here is that we want to keep a quality program. We want to be sensitive to the needs of the education system, but we have to have the money to be able to do it. And we have to have the money to be fair to our taxpayers, both personal and commercial. And if we're not, then that's going to be a problem. We can't seem to walk into a dark room and there's a $600,000 increase in a specific area. And I think probably special ed and the high cost involved there was part and parcel of that. We're going to have an earlier look at these situations, whether we go to a biannual budget, which I'm not recommending in particular, but have some facet of that so you can review these things for a little longer period of time and earlier so that you can build a strategy for managing spikes of 6.5%. And then when you go to do something for the town, you don't have the capital to do it. And you have needs and you have desires to see things done, but yet the money is mainstreaming off to other places, Department of Education. So I think we have to find another funding mechanism for these spikes. You know, there was always a hope that the costs, even in education, would level off. But the special needs area, it's very difficult for anybody to predict where it's going to go, whether you outsource. If a parent doesn't want their kid outsourced, you can't outsource them. And who's going to pay for that? Well, you know who's going to pay for that. So these are important issues. These are sensitive issues, but they all come down to money at the end. And if we don't have the capital to do it, and that continues year after year, you may settle it this year, but you're kicking the buck down the road, because the same issue will come up, I can promise you, next time. There's going to be a spike, nothing that the superintendent drove herself or didn't do or should have done better. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is it happens through the inertia and the pressure and the strain to move these programs forward. And then you have language issues on top of that, where kids come in that can't speak any English, little English, marginal English, on top of what their handicap is. So these are huge issues that have to be solved by the legislature. And I know we have three good legislators, they're meaning well and all. We have to put some pressure on them, though, to bring forward these issues on behalf of us and the tri-towns around us, to keep this thing where we can develop an alternative source of financing. Now, in Houston, I'm going to move on to another quick subject and I'll end. In Houston, Texas, there are no requirements for any kind of zoning. There's no application for it. So you could have a beautiful home for millions of dollars and somebody could put up a tent. There's no configuration, shockingly, in Houston, Texas. They don't have the oversight.
Can I get you to summarize your overtime?
Yeah, I will. So that's an issue we have to look at as well. But in summary, we're going to be in the same position next time if we don't do something on the funding side. And we want to make everybody happy. But if you don't have the capital and the taxpayers are telling you they can't make the payments, we're in deep water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Anyone else in the room? Come on up.
Notes like everybody else, so. My name is Betty Dombrowski. I live at 135 Stoddard Avenue. I'm here also to address the budget. I had read an article in the New Britain Herald, which said taxes are expected to go up 10%. So I started doing some research. In my house, my taxes will be going up 28.5%. I see an increase anywhere from 16%. I looked at the over 55 community at Millbrook, 40% someone's taxes is going up. I just find the mill rate at 31.45, I don't see how it's helping taxpayers. I question how the senior citizens who get a credit, are you going to increase that credit 3 times? And is the state and town going to give the elderly that little bit they give them more money? Because people on fixed incomes, 40% increase in their, that's a lot. How do you explain such a huge increase? So I just find the increase just not 10%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Rod Mortensen, 17 Fox Lane. I'll try and make it quick. Mine are more budgetary concerns, suggestions. And you know, at least for this council, whenever I come up here, it's some of it maybe you might deem criticism, but it isn't. It's constructive. So I'm going to jump right into it. First off, I think the town has never done a good job in explaining applying budgetary surplus to get the tax rate down. I think it was a very poor choice on this council's choice. I don't know whether it was election year or the reasoning why I wasn't that involved in it, but everybody knew there was a reval coming. And when that reval hit, you're talking about a tsunami unprecedented in Newington's history, unprecedented. There's only 3 or 4 people here talking about the concerns of when the tax bill. You're not going to see that tsunami roll in until the tax bill opens up. And then it's too late. So I'm coming tonight because I know this is only a preliminary budget set, but you need to do something and something large. So you need to explain to the town, when you take 5 million last year, 3 million this year, next year, you've already created an 8 million just to get on. I was here the increase. That's not really what you should do is give me you can announce at a council meeting in 5 neighborhoods in Newington. Take Brookside area. Take the New Britain Avenue area, take a Red Rock home and show what the increase is going to be then. Will hopefully soften criticism you're going to get when people get their tattles. My business is 111 years. We've been in Newington 50 of which I've officially been running. And it is never, ever to be a business in Newington than it is today. And unless you have a business, you appreciate it. So when you do those average, not only a residential house, it's all public knowledge, a lot to find it. Take data mail and say taxes, pick any other businesses. One of the advantages I have in my meet thousands of customers who are residential customers and many business people. There is no, I repeat this, no business person who is happy as what's happening. And probably most of the residential people. And you can't use the idea. I went through school, my older brothers went through school, my 2 sets of kids have gone through school. I had the most fantastic teachers. My wife was a teacher, but you can't always come back for, oh, it's for the children. When I go to the store, I try to teach my kids and say things are so tough right now. I'm laughing about this whole affordability housing thing. What we're doing now is Newington's already become unaffordable. How many kids can go buy a house now? And they say, well, how can you afford the cost of an apartment? Well, the payments may be the same, but I don't have $100, $200, $300, $400,000 in cash to put down. So what is Newington going to look like in 5 or 10 years from now? So I really would like to see, and also one of the things that kind of sticks in my craw now, I see that we're talking about doing Connecticut K-9. You know, for many years, not just me, other council people, economic development directors worked hard to get businesses, people to take buildings here in Newington. OFI was it for me. I pulled that guy from Rocky Hill and pulled him here. You take that building off of the tax rolls, how many thousands of dollars are we not going to collect over the next 10 or 20 years that could fund paras, equipment, police officers, whatever? How many thousands of dollars will we not collect by if we pick up another private property here? There's different ways to do things. You need to go say, do I need it? Do I want it? can I live without it? Newington has nowhere else to grow, nowhere else except the redevelopment of empty buildings. And, you know, we don't need pickleball courts, nothing against them. Used to play pickleball, or trampoline parks or whatever. You need sustainable businesses. And there's a lot of businesses in Newington who shoulder a very large portion of the tax amount that can go operate anywhere they want. They don't have to be here. So I think that council people should have a moral obligation to say, I'm going to treat every tax dollar like it was my own. How many times does an elected official say, why are they spending all this money? Go, well, because it's not theirs. And I've heard some comments, I won't say firsthand, from in Newington, some employees, well, it's not my money. The waste is still there.
Mayor, you're a minute and a half over if I could have.
Oh,
you-
I'm sorry.
If I could have you summarize.
I don't
No,
want
you
to
can
keep
finish
any
up.
longer.
No,
Just- I know what it's like, and we've all been here a long time, but I think maybe you take some of those suggestions to help people see what's coming down the road.
Stick around.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else like to speak in public participation? Please step with the microphone. All right. Don't leave. Don't leave. You guys are gonna miss the fun part.
We're all on the same page.
State your name and address. for the
Brian
record, please.
Skibo, 63 Stoddard Avenue. Starting to talk about the housing issue. How much housing do we need in this town? It's absolutely ridiculous. Everywhere you go, this is high-rise housing, which is going to put a burden onto, you know, the town. The taxes are going to be obviously through the roof. We're going to need extra police, extra fire. I mean, look at Fenn Road area and Cedar Street. That's a nightmare. And then they want to build on Lewis Street, more high rises, and other places. I don't know whether there's any more land left in Newington. Maybe my backyard. There's some grass showing. I don't know. So that's another concern. I mean, it used to be a nice little quaint town. It's just a city. I've been in cities that actually look nicer, more laid out than this town's become. And I really do like this town. I grew up here and I have a business here, multiple businesses, and it's just really, really sad to see what happened, you know, growing up and seeing the transformation over the period of years. And I just feel it's you know, the taxes, I mean, we can't afford it. It's just getting ridiculous. So who's going to pay for all these high rises, these low income housing? Who's paying for all that? It's got to come from somewhere. As far as the education, too, there's a lot of things going on with the education department. There's a lot of, it's not just Newington, it's other towns, other states, the whole United States. Everything is with these, you know, with these kids that are, you know, special needs. It's so much influx of all these kids. Where do they all come from? Number one. Number two, it's just putting a burden on the whole school system, and it's not just here. It's really, really wish we could figure it out, but the money's got to come from somewhere. And I just like to see something happen where we can, you know, come together and try to figure this out. But I don't think we need any more housing. We're done in Newington. I like to have it a nice town the way it is. And the traffic is, well, yeah, I don't have to tell you about that. Just try going around Cedar Street on 3 o'clock. So how much more are we going to have? I mean, you stack it up like China. I don't know. It's just really, I'm just really down about this whole thing. It's just really, wish I can do something, but I'm just a small guy. I'm not, you know, I don't have any power. So I'm speaking for all the people here too. I'm sure they can agree with what I said, but just want to say that to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have one on Zoom. Come on up. We'll go to the one on Zoom and we'll get to you next.
Hi,
Go right
Rose
ahead, Ms.
Lyons.
Lyons.
Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. It does my heart good to see all these people coming out and giving their opinions, their concerns. I was especially happy to see former Mayor Rodney Mortensen still being involved, since he is the one that got me involved 15 or 20 years ago by giving the residents of Newington an F for their participation in the budget process. That being said, and I know that I keep repeating this, and I said it the other day, we have to keep looking at our wants and our needs. And I showed you with the Christmas stockings on Saturday. I think I'm going to have to add another one, because I think Mayor Mortensen said to think about what you want, what you need, and do you really need it? So I'm going to have to go shopping for one of those. I have to say something about the two gyms. I can't be silent about that. I sat for 3 years or more listening to town hall renovation, and had the committee, in my opinion, listened to the few of us that were in the audience and gone back to the town council and gone back to referendum to get more money for the town hall that you're sitting in now, you wouldn't be out looking at OFI to put another department in there, and you wouldn't probably be looking to Connecticut Canine, because I think that you mentioned something about storage. I've been hearing about storage for the last 10 years, and that was the main subject of discussion many a nights, about where were they going to store the things in the town hall. Yes, they fought for the two gyms, and yes, Board of Ed fought for their things, but in my opinion, it's the other departments that lost out, and we should start thinking about their needs as well. And that's it for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mike Phelps, 108 Tremont Street. To quote a prior resident, this year's budget is an unprecedented fiscal tsunami with no easy solution. You're looking over the manager's proposed budget, 1 mil is roughly $4 million. Even if the manager's proposed budget was a 0% increase due to the change in assessment, taxes on your average median assessed home would still be over $10,000 annually. I'm sure everyone at this table has looked at their new assessments, divided by 1,000, and multiplied it by the proposed mill rate to see the impact on your own lives. In some cases, including my own, these are tax increases of over 25% this year. I've seen houses listed for sale that would support this, and I understand that rationale, but I don't want to sell my home to have taxes I can afford. You also can't use the general fund to help lessen the tsunami, as Newington has a fairly large budget of $116 million, an adequate reserve to maintain our credit rating and cover unfunded liabilities such as pensions leaves a limited amount of funds available. A nearly $31 million estimated balance at the end of June may sound like a lot, but is really substantially less when you take away obligations and then spend another $2 to $3 million each year to reduce the budget. Have there been any discussions or modeling done to spread the assessment increase across more than 1 year as allowed by Connecticut state law? Weathersfield took last year's revaluation, which was a 62% increase, and is spreading it over 4 years, while West Hartford has spread passive revaluations across 2 years. Even at a maximum of 4 years, there's no easy way to take a 57% increase in residential values and reduce it to single-digit increases, nor given the dollar value of 1 mil being $4 million, there are any single places to reduce the budget and make an impact. As a lifelong resident, I would ask the council to consider the following options. Split the assessment revaluation across 2 years for at least residential properties, as phase-in may also affect education cost sharing, and a 4-year split would honestly just be too many years of additional tax increases before another evaluation in 5 years. Continue to work with the Board of Ed and work towards a memorandum of understanding on their usage of their non-lapsing fund, which has also grown substantially over the last few years without a lot of expenditures. Examine the special reserve funds, and I think it was section 5,000, in additional detail. Several of the funds appear to have large ending balances year to year, which may help cover some of those departments' CIP requests. It's an election year for all Connecticut state representatives and the governor. Mr. Mayor, you asked on Saturday if they were listening. Why not hold a joint special meeting with the Board of Ed to highlight the unfunded mandates affecting ours and many other towns? It'll be a local election next year. Continue to advertise and encourage applications to the tax exemption programs offered in the town to help those residents in need. To conclude, we can make improvement to our town and support our students with things like additional para benefits and keeping all the great things we love about Newington. But we need to make adjustments to how this revaluation is applied so we can all afford to live here. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Anyone else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation? Seeing none, I don't believe we have any email correspondence. All right, move on to remarks by councilors on public participation. I'll actually kick us off. I have a few comments. First, I want to thank everyone who came out and spoke tonight. It's usually we don't get any people come out here, so I'm happy to see people in the room. I want to thank Ms. Coltrera for her comments on the about the paras. It's well received. There's been a lot of comments about housing, and I think, you know, one of the issues that we're seeing in this budget is obviously there's been a lot of housing, there's been a lot of housing growth prior to when we took over, but one of the issues that we have is a lot of those properties, we're still not collecting any tax revenue on because of tax abatements that were put on those properties. So that keeps us in a hole. It's been stated, this is an unprecedented reval. I mean, the cost of our home, and we're not the only community where costs have gone up like this around us, and we're gonna do the best that we can to keep cutting it. But the revals are out of our control. And it's the point in time when we have to deal with it, and we're taking it very seriously, and we're not done. Lastly, I would say to Mr. Skibo, you're on the Board of Ed. You got a little power. You're a little more than just a little guy. You got some power in this, right? You guys vote on those things. So I appreciate you coming in and speaking. Those are all my remarks. Councilor Plord.
Thank you, Mayor. I also appreciate everybody who came out and spoke tonight. I, to the former mayor's point, take his approach to this budget. As I've said before, I do not treat any dollar that is spent here, any penny, we don't have pennies anymore, any nickel that is spent in here as if it is not my own money. Because I am among that group of people who will have a hell of a time trying to afford whatever increase comes out of this room. So I take it very seriously. I take it particularly seriously because I know that there are seniors who right now cannot afford the taxes they are paying right now, let alone what an increase might mean for them under this budget. So I take that extremely seriously. Our process, thank God, still has 4 weeks, maybe a little less left in it. We have a lot of work ahead of us, work that we're going to continue to do. But I take that responsibility dead seriously. And I appreciate everybody who came out and spoke tonight to emphasize the need for looking at this budget with that lens. I'll also say, just on the housing concerns, in addition to the comments I made earlier, you know, as somebody who was born and raised in this town too, as some other folks mentioned, I was appalled at the rate of increase and scale of housing development that happened before my time on the council. I found it appalling. I found it disrespectful to this community and to the character that we've built here as a town. I still feel that way. And I know that obviously with that having happened, there are ramifications on infrastructure, on department budgets, on all of our quality of life that we all have to now consider. I think housing can be a net good, a net positive for our community, particularly when the cost of housing is so high. We need to desperately bring it down. But I am of the mind, as are many people who I talk to, neighbors, family members, et cetera, who are worried that any housing development should keep in mind the full comprehensive view of what our community is, what it should be, should not go and run too far afield of those needs and those goals and that character that we've built as a community. I take that very seriously as well. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Draco.
Continuing on the housing theme, I just want to say that just in regards to the special session Public Act 25-1 that we were presented with, this bill is intended to encourage or, you know, promote more affordable housing building in communities where my priority is keeping the housing that we currently have in Newington affordable. Bringing in more housing, more affordable housing, yet not being able to keep the housing that we already have in Newington affordable is an oxymoron. And I think that's at least where my focus is, in trying to do what's best for current Newington residents so they can stay here rather than worrying about bringing in more housing that that we can't support. But in any event, that's just and the second thing is to Mr. Phelps. We did bring to the town manager's attention the tax phase-in program. And we are going to have a presentation with the town manager and the town assessor on it to tell us, because there's mixed reviews, shall we say, from either residents or the people who have to administer it. And I just don't want to take one or two people saying, oh, it's a mess. Well, tell me why it's a mess and who's it a mess for? Is it a mess for the people who have to administer it? Is it a mess for the resident who chooses to participate? Whatever. I need more information on it, but we are aware of it. And we've asked for a presentation from the town manager and the impacted departments.
We're looking at everything. Sure. Any other comments from council? All right, seeing none. At this point, we're gonna move on to consideration of old business. Item A is set the 2026-2027 tentative budget. In previous years, we've normally just re-up whatever the town manager has given us already and continue our work, but I recognize the situation we're in right now. We've been working pretty hard at it, so we're gonna do a little bit different this year. At this point, we're actually gonna go into recess and go into caucus and come back and we're gonna consider some cuts. So we will go into recess now and be in caucus, and we'll see you back shortly. Thank you. Go ahead, guys. All right, we're in recess. All right, thank you folks who hung out and waited for us. We are back from our recess and reconvening the meeting. When we left, like we indicated, we are at old business, item A, set the 2026-2027 tentative budget. Just a couple of comments before I hand it over to my colleagues. This is a challenging budget. It, without a doubt, one of the more challenging budgets probably anyone in this town has ever seen in the last 50 years. We really listened and heard what the public said to us at the public hearing. And we felt so strongly about that we wanted to kind of buck our tradition of making cuts later and really start showing folks some of the work that we're doing now, because we're taking this very seriously. So tonight we're going to present a few cuts. I will hand it all over to our amazing majority and minority leaders to get us started.
Thank you, Mayor.
Counselor Plord, you're up.
So the first cut is to the Board of Education operating of $936,792. That's account number 14,086.01.
Second.
Yeah,
Second.
motion, seconded by Counselor Bedrejko. Was the motion was Counselor Plord, seconded by Counselor Bedrejko. Any discussion on this cut? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, the second is transfer to building fund, BOE-CIP, John Patterson Roof, account number 111,8502, a cut in the amount of $53,570.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Plord, seconded by Counselor Bedrejko. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries unanimously.
The third is transfer to CNRE, Board of Ed CIP, Route Chafee Parking Lot. That is account number 111,085.01, and that's a cut in the amount of $175,000.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Plord, seconded by Counselor Bedrejko. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries unanimously.
The fourth is a cut to contractual services, health services. That is account number 10-511-8220, a cut of $13,581.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Plord, seconded by Counselor Bedrejko. Any discussion on this cut? I'll just make the comment that this cut is a result of the correct figure we get from the Central Connecticut Health District in terms of their needs. So this is a reduction based on that. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries unanimously.
The next cut is to account 111008502, transfer to building fund, animal control shelter, cut of $1 million.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Bedrejko, seconded by Counselor Plord. Any discussion on this cut? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries unanimously.
Next,
And, my mistake.
next cut is account 111008501, transfer to CNRE Board of Ed CIP buses in the amount of $800,000.
Second?
Motion by Deputy Mayor Rada, seconded by Counselor DeHaas. Any discussion on this point? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries unanimously.
And Mayor, that completes our cuts for this evening.
What's the total number that we cut?
$2,978,943.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Janet, can we get an update on what the mill rate sits at now with these cuts?
The mill rate sits at 30.75. That's a 9.23 mil reduction, or a reduction of 23.1%.
Thank you very much. Councilor Bedrejko?
Can I make an explanation as
Yes,
to?
yes,
you know,
please.
Yeah, concerning, the animal control shelter, I don't want to interpret it that we are not funding it or we're not going to go forward with it because it is a state mandate. But we felt, bipartisanly that, first of all, the property appraisal was far below the amount that was going to be, budgeted for. Secondly, until we have this is not prohibiting or not stopping whatever negotiations are going in, but we felt that there is an alternative that once a price perhaps could be resolved or settled on, it would come back to the council, and at that point, if we felt it was appropriate, giving the property value itself, the need, we could then approve authorize the town manager to go forward with a purchase. And at that point, the funds could come out of the general fund, so that, again, rather than tying up the $1 million, which would not be what we would approve anyways for a purchase price, at this point, just keep it in the general fund and wait and see what some negotiations would be. In the short term, should anything happen, we do have the Bloomfield option for $60,000 a year. But in the short or even midterm, the building as it stands right now is in compliance with all state statutes regarding dog animal shelters. And at least in the near short term, it's still operational and we're still using it. So there are options and we want to continue to explore options, particularly, perhaps the purchase price, but $1 million, we all just felt that at this point was not appropriate. And the building itself, it will need renovations, but not for its immediate use as the dog pound.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just add to Counselor Petracco's points. I agree with all she said on the animal control shelter. And that's why I was proud that we were able to present that cut together in addition to the cut to bus CIP on a bipartisan basis. These are substantial cuts tonight, and we still have a lot of work to do, quite a lot of work to do. We all recognize that, but I think it speaks to how good faith this process is already shaping up to be, that we were able to make these substantial cuts tonight on a completely bipartisan, unanimous basis. So I want to thank both colleagues on this side of the aisle, colleagues on this side of the aisle for coming to a consensus on that, so that we can present a united front amidst this really, really difficult budget and very difficult time in our town. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, well, that'll conclude the old business for tonight. We have still 1, 2, 3 more meetings before we set the mill rate. Please keep coming out and sharing your thoughts and keep paying attention to these cuts. Continue our work. All right, we're moving on right away. Next item on the agenda is tax refunds. Councilor Pedrega, would you please read the resolution?
Thank you. Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $276.27 are hereby approved in the individual amounts and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Pedrega, seconded by Councilor Floyd. Any discussion on this tax refund? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries unanimously. Next is minutes of previous meeting, February 24th, regular meeting. Councilor DeHaas?
It's gonna be Counselor
Councilor
Capella.
Capella?
Yes, and my name is just spelled wrong, so that's it. Throughout the whole, it's okay.
Well, roll call's correct.
Yes, so it's just two piece. That's okay.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the February 24th, 2026 regular meeting minutes with the amendments proposed by Councilor Capella.
Second, or motion.
Motion?
Made a
Second.
motion.
Motion by Councilor Ford, second by Councilor DeHaas. Any discussion on approving the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have resignations and appointments. We have them? We have
Got
one. Alrighty. Councilman Draco?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointment. Town Council Boards and Commissions Review Subcommittee. Name Kelly DeHaas, NTC member, 45 Lincoln Road, Party R, term, NTC term.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Draco, seconded by Councilman Ford. Any discussion on this? I think we have to have a lot of talk about this one, actually. No, I'm just kidding. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Add that to the list.
Yeah, right, yeah. All right, so now we're moving on to consideration of new business. First item on that is, as I mentioned earlier, first item is it's a referral to the facilities naming subcommittee. This will, we're not taking action tonight, but I think, as of tonight was Bill DeMayo night, I think it's very, very appropriate that we refer this potential name change of the gymnasium to the William A. DeMayo Gymnasium at the Mortensen Community Center. And once we get to the next point where we get to send this actually to the subcommittee, I hope the subcommittee will move swiftly and make that happen for Bill. Any questions on that item? All right.
I just know as well in the, thank you, Mayor. I just know as well in the memo that there's also this pending request for the Karen Halpert Information Referral Center that the subcommittee will anticipate picking up again.
I'll add to that, that we are working with Lauren to find a date and a time where we can meet and start moving on these.
Awesome, great. All right, we'll move on to item B, budget transfers. Janet, thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah.
On Saturday's meeting, I did mention Camp Avenue, called it the wrong name at that point, but Camp Avenue is complete. We had just gotten a bill for the work over here in Garfield. There's an overage. So we're looking to transfer the funds from Camp Avenue to the road recon account to actually cover some of those. There'll be additional work. So, they'll have to maybe do some other transfers in the spring. Well, this is almost spring, to finish up the Garfield Street parking lot over there. They finished one side and only temporary finished the other one. So there'll be more work and another bill coming in for that. The other one we have down here is alumni road improvements. Those are also complete. So there's 24,515 left in that. We're moving that over to drainage maintenance for Chris to be able to do some work over the senior center with a drainage issue they're having over there. And then lastly, there was a settlement that you agreed to. I just wanted to make sure that this got taken care of before I left. We're going to need to move over that money for that settlement from contingency over to legal for the payout. So those are the three requests that I have before you.
Any questions for Janet on that? Thank you so much, Janet, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Next on the agenda is a flag policy. We kind of kicked this idea around for a couple of years, so I think it's good that we see this on the agenda. There's a lot to read through this report, so I think, we'll keep reading it and see where we're at in a couple of weeks with questions on that, unless anyone has any burning desires or
I guess
questions.
I just have one comment. So
Sure.
it does, the memo does suggest that we fly Teresa's flag beginning, I guess, the first Monday in April, and we can do a small sort of ceremony at 9 or something like that on that Monday. I'll
Happy to
send
be
out
there.
invitations for that.
There we did.
As well as the 250.
And then starting, then we'll do something similar on
For the 250.
on the 250th
Yeah.
on or around May 1st.
Thank you, John.
Great. All right, Councilman Draco?
Before, Janet, is this your last official meeting? Or are you going to be here for the Tuesday?
I'll be here for your Tuesday meetings.
Okay.
I should say, yeah. So if you're gonna talk budget,
Okay, or if we're going to say goodbye, we'll say it. Maybe.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. That'll conclude our discussion on new business. We'll move on to item 12, written oral communications to the town manager.
I'm gonna keep it really quick. State of the town is 8 o'clock on Thursday at the senior center. Looking forward to that. This is Janet, as Gail beat me to the punch. This is Janet's official last meeting as the full-time finance director. We'll see her again, so no long goodbyes tonight, but. Yeah, all right. Let's do it. Oh, Captain, my Captain. And then also I'd be remiss not to acknowledge too that Corinne Aldinger, our tax collector, is retiring as well, on, I guess, next Tuesday, a week from today. And I'll just keep it at that for now.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jonathan.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Councilor Pedrosa.
Sorry, I do have a question, Jonathan.
Sure.
Simply because two people have forwarded me the same article regarding the dog shelter, the dog pound. Did we reach out to West Hartford because they're in the process of constructing a brand new one? And I didn't.
West Hartford?
Yes.
I can talk with the chief about it. I don't remember West Hartford coming
I
up in
think
conversation.
I remember that I think he did and they were not interested in,
Well, but I'll
Try again.
I'll get a
Think?
definitive response.
Yeah.
they use it,
Here's
like,
the-
I forgot, but
Well,
it
I mean, it's
wasn't.
still under construction, so
Yeah.
it's like, here's the urban. It's kind of fancy, but maybe. we
Yeah,
can
so
make
why
something
not?
for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to item 13, council liaison committee reports.
Don't look at me, nothing.
Nothing from council. All right, we're moving right along. We're up to item 14, public participation. If you'd like to speak in public participation, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Dare use the raise hand function in Zoom. We will alternate between in the room and over Zoom.
Teresa AV 71 Commonwealth Avenue. I just want to thank you all for approving, allowing the flag for April. I just have one request. Jonathan mentioned the first Monday for the flag raising. That's fine. I was just hoping we could do it later in the day. So more of my family, maybe my nephews, my brother, my sister could come. If we could do it at maybe 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can,
We'll-
yeah, that's,
I'll-
Okay.
that's actually better.
I'll
Yeah,
reach
yeah,
out
better
to
for me.
you.
Yeah, that's definitely better for me.
That is it. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing
So
it
thanks
to
for staying and
us.
hanging out. Appreciate it. Anybody else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation?
Excuse me.
All right, seeing none, we will move on to remarks by counselors. Counselor Gonzalez?
Very quickly, I just wanted to respond to something that Mr. Skibo said. He's not here right now, but I took issue with one of his comments. He said, where do they all come from? And I believe he was referring to special education children. And he is an elected official on the Board of Education. I think it was completely inappropriate. It would be inappropriate for anybody to make a comment like that. I have children that are special education. I'm sure that other people do as well. And if he's questioning where special education children come from, he may want to reach out and speak to the superintendent or someone that can educate him. Completely inappropriate.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Tiniakis?
I agree with what Counselor Gonzalez said, but I wanted to just kind of echo what Matt had said earlier about our budget. We're facing a challenge like on any other budget I've personally had to go through. And I just really appreciate how collaboratively that we've all been working. It's really nice and refreshing, and I think it just shows that we're just trying to mitigate all of this for the taxpayer. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with what Counselor Gonzalez said. I also want to take some time though to thank staff for their work tonight and their continued work over the next month. This is a really arduous process, but it is no more arduous for us than it is for you. So we really appreciate your help. Thank you for your patience and looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Counselor Nieves.
Yes, I just wanted to make two comments. First and foremost, this is my first year on town council. And it is an experience, a lot of hard work, commitment, but I do know what I signed up for, and I do believe from what I've seen thus far in the meetings that we've been engaged in, that it's a pretty collaborative process. And I thank you guys. I think agreeing to disagree and coming to compromise, it's a tough budget to have to consider. I think at the end of the road, we're looking to do the right thing for this town. I am a town resident. I've been a town resident for over 25 years now. My second point, as Councilor Gonzalez and Councilor Tiniakis made, I was taken aback by the comments that were made here. I'm a very open person. I sit here attentively, make my notes, listen to the comments that our town residents come here to express and to voice their concerns. But I too take issue with the commentary about where do all these kids with special education needs come from. I think also the other comment that I was a little bit taken aback with was the language commentary. We're free to live wherever we choose to live, raise our kids, and where we choose to work. I am the grandparent to a special ed teacher, and I hear his stories every day about the difficulty and the challenges that parents and grandparents with special needs children have and face. I also have two nephews that have special needs. They're autistic. And I see the challenge that my niece goes through every day raising those kids and the challenges that they have in school. And so I do commit to doing what I need to do as a council person. But I think people need to be open-minded about, our children, what happens in life, and what people come here with in terms of expressing their needs and their concerns. I'm sure that this town has many, many parents who have special need children. And I was taken aback by the comment, and I just need to say something.
Amen. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Counselor. I'm just gonna say, I see my wife is online. I just want to say, hi, honey. I'll see you. Any other remarks from council? Seeing none. Informational items. I don't believe we have any. Brings us to item 17, adjournment. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Plord, seconded by Councilor Gonzalez. Any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned 10:35 PM. So close, Susan.